Hello, I'm EG, and this is Crocheting with EG, and in this video I'm going to be showing the things that I missed in the video that I did where I showed everything that I made in my first year of crocheting. As long as that video was, I actually did miss a few things. Some of it is going to be pictures or clips of it that I pulled out of my home movies, but because a lot of it I don't have. But I did miss just a couple random things, so I'll talk about that. One of the things that I missed was I made a scarf for my niece, and it's made out of that I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby, and it's the same kind of yarn that I'm using to make my moss stitch throw blanket. I've made a little bit of progress on it, but not much. But it's that same kind of yarn where it's like black and mixed in with the black is some vibrant colors. This is she was going through her phase where she still likes blue, but like her favorite color was blue, and so I was working on that blanket one day, and she saw all the pretty skeins of the yarn. I don't know what this is called, and I don't feel like going all the way over there to look it up. I'll just put it on the screen, but whatever the name of this yarn is, I love this yarn, but I don't know the colorway name. But it's the one that has black and some blue mixed in, different shades of blue. And so she was looking at it, and she said, can I have a scarf made out of this? Because she liked the blue skein. And so I think what I did was I went back and I got a blue skein, and I made her a scarf. And so it's just like sort of a thin scarf, because she's a kid. And so I just used that one skein of yarn, and I made this like pretty thin scarf. And then the fringe on it, I didn't use this yarn. I used a different yarn. I forget what it is, but it kind of matches. It's like these like some of it's teal, some of it's blue, or like a darker blue. And so I made the fringe out of that yarn. And so she does have this scarf that she keeps over here, but I made that for her. And then I made these things when she came over here. She was it was after school one day, and they had given her a sticker. I can't remember what it is. If I remember, I'll put it on the screen or whatever. But it was some kind of like thing that they did in school, and they gave kids like green belts or blue belts or like or whatever, like belts. It reminds you of like karate, but they weren't doing karate or whatever. But they, as a reward, they were giving the kids like some kind of belt. And so when she said that, I thought, oh, did they like give her an actual belt or whatever? But all it was like a sticker that she loved. That damn, that it wasn't like a damn sticker, but like it was like a sticker, and she loved that little sticker. All it was like a little piece of clip art of like a green belt, like a little picture of it on there, and she just loved that thing. And but it kept like falling off her shirt and stuff, and I just felt like, I know that it's a school, and I know that there's funding issues with schools and stuff, and they never have enough money or whatever. And I guess if I was a teacher, I would just bankrupt myself, because I'd be doing all kinds of like creative things for the kids. But like in my mind, I thought, couldn't they have just like gotten like a thing of ribbon or whatever, and like cut off a little strip, and so here's like your green belt, or here's this, I don't know. But that's what I would think. But like, I'm sure collectively it would be like, oh, a spool of ribbon here, and a little sticker thing here, or like what, and it would like add up, and then they would have no money for the kids. And so I don't know, but I just thought like a sticker. I don't know how many kids are in her school or anything, but I just thought, I felt sort of bad that she loved that little sticker or whatever, and it just kept falling off her shirt and stuff, and she wanted to like save it and everything. And so I wanted to like give her something to kind of like something significant, that if something ever happened to that sticker, she would still had that green belt. Although now I can't even think about what it was, think about what it was for. But she's always like coming over and saying, I got this award, and I'm just like, she just ended the school year, and she got like a citizenship award, and then two of those like it looked like Olympic medals or whatever, and like 2 awards, like actual awards and everything. And so she's always coming over and saying that she won this and she got this or whatever. So I don't remember what that green belt was for. And so what I did was I took some yarn. I think it was like a darker green, sort of an olive green yarn, whatever it was. I don't know what yarn it was, but I made her like a green belt. I just basically just crocheted like this long belt, and so I gave her that. And then the next time she came over, she had gotten like a blue belt for whatever, and so I gave her a blue belt. So she took those home, and I'm gonna have it the video footage somewhere, but I'll edit it in as I'm talking. But and so I made her a blue belt to go with her green one, so that when she is at home, like if something ever happened to that sticker, at least she'll still have those little belts or whatever to like, so that she can look at it and remind herself of like, you know, whatever she achieved and accomplished or whatever at school, and the award that they gave her and stuff. I wish that they would have like done a little something extra, you know, other than a sticker. But you know, I know that schools have to worry about money and all that kind of stuff. But you know, I guess it's just reflective of who I am, who I would be as a teacher. I wouldn't be a teacher because I wouldn't have enough money to survive, because I would have spent, well, I had to buy that ribbon for those kids because, you know, they needed a belt, whatever, stupid. And so then there were these, I'm going on to the next thing that I forgot. I should have remembered because I was, in my old footage that I had on YouTube, my old videos, I was actually crocheting them in one of the videos, and as I was talking, rambling on camera. And when my mom and I would go to Goodwill all the time, or we still go there, as ridiculous as the prices are. I know I complain about it, whatever. It bothers me that they get all that stuff for free, and then it's like, oh, here's this box of like really old yarn for $30, like, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, so we still go to Goodwill, but every time we'd go to, we have 2 Goodwills in our town, and when we would go to like the big one, there would be this couple sitting outside. Sometimes they'd be in their car, sometimes they'd be sitting on the benches or whatever. They were just like this, you know, sweet older couple, and for a while we didn't really know their names. They were just like really nice, and they would always like wave to us as we walked by or whatever, you know, say a couple things. They were just like this really sweet old couple, and it was sort of like getting around the winter time, and we didn't really know their situation. We didn't know like why they were, you know, sitting there outside Goodwill or whatever, why sometimes they'd be like sitting inside and they wouldn't be shopping around. We just didn't know their situation, and with it being cold and stuff, we didn't want to, you would never want to ask, like, you know, if they had some kind of housing situation or like whatever. But there've been, you know, like homeless people in our town or whatever, and so we know that like sometimes homeless people or people with, you know, some kind of issue where they live, like some kind of housing issue, you know, like linger around in stores or whatever, and you know, just to keep warm or whatever, especially when it gets colder. And so because they were just kind of like hanging around Goodwill or whatever, and they were never going inside, or like when they would just kind of like sit in there on the little chairs, we didn't want to ask or anything, and we didn't want to assume or anything, and so we just sort of wondered, like, you know, if they had some kind of housing issue or some kind of issue where the reason why they were hanging out at Goodwill is because, you know, maybe they didn't have heating at their house, or like we just didn't want to assume anything. It turned out that we actually engaged in conversation with them eventually, because, you know, the nicer they were, and they were like waving at us, and like the more comfortable we got with each other, and we started to talk to them a little bit. They're just these really sweet older couple, and it turns out that they would go there and kind of hang around there for a little while because they their daughter worked in Goodwill, so they would go there to pick her up. And but we hated that we assumed there was some kind of situation with them, but we didn't really know. And you know, you don't want to ask somebody that kind of thing. So. But they're just these really nice people, and we eventually found out their names, and we talk to them every once in a while. We haven't seen them for a little while, but every time we see them, it's just like, it's, you know, they're always so nice and everything, and but they're just sweet, this sweet little couple, and but before we found out their names and all that kind of stuff, because we weren't really familiar with, you know, their situation, we didn't really know what their situation was, and it was getting kind of cold. This was like, you know, last year, near like in the end of fall or winter or whenever it was, you know, it was starting to get a little chilly and stuff, and we thought if they had some kind of situation, maybe it would be nice if I like what started it was my mom wanted to like figure out something to give them for Christmas, because it was before Christmas, and we didn't really know what to give them, and because we were kind of like wondering what their situation was, I thought, I have all this yarn and stuff, and maybe I could like make them a scarf or something, because you know, it's easy enough to do, and then if they do have some kind of situation, then it would have like you know, kept them warm or whatever, you know, if they were like, you know, in their car or like waiting for whatever reason they were waiting outside Goodwill for. And so so I ended up giving them a scarf, even though they didn't really need it, because, you know, they have a house and everything, and they're just this, you know, sweet couple like waiting to pick up their daughter. But whatever. So it turned out that, you know, fortunately, they have a very good situation and stuff. They're just, you know, a sweet couple that, you know, are waiting for their daughter. But what I did was I made them a scarf, and so what I used was it's called Second Chance. It was the yarn, some of the yarn that I got last year in the first Hobby Lobby clearance that I got to go to, because I didn't crochet the year before or anything. So I've only gotten the Hobby Lobby clearance this year and then last year. And they had a yarn. I actually have it here because I'm going to be filming another video. It's the Yarn Bee Second Chance. I have a black one left. But what I had was I bought the black, and then I had a gray, a green, and... no, wait. Yeah, gray and green and orange and cream. And so what I thought I would do, I doubled it up so that it would go really quickly and be extra warm for them. And I did that sort of like dash moss thing that I did, like a variation of the moss stitch. And I made them these two nice scarves. And so I made the green, or made the man's green and the gray, because I thought it was more like masculine colors and stuff. And then the woman's, I made an orange and cream one, and so I just mixed them together. It turned into these really nice scarves and stuff. And so I made those, and I think I basically made them in like a day, because, you know, it was like doubled up, and then it was that moss stitch where you're basically just adding a couple single crochets in between the moss stitch, and those are like basically single crochets with like a chain in between them. And so you're basically just adding an extra chain and a couple other random things. But so it was like it crocheted up really quickly and stuff. And so we got together, I got them together in a bag or whatever, and I wrote up this really nice card and stuff, and saying that, like, they gave us warmth, you know, or they give us warmth every time they, you know, smile at us or like say hello to us or whatever, because it warms our heart. So we wanted to give them something that would, you know, give them some kind of warmth and stuff. And so like we made them a scarf and everything. They just like loved it, and they were so thankful and everything. And the woman got hers, and she just like, she put it on right away, and she just loved it. And it was just like a really nice sweet thing. And I got to use up some of my my yarn. I've felt recycled yarn before. I mean, this is, I don't know if it's recycled, but I think that's what it is. It's like some kind of recycled yarn. I've felt some of the recycled acrylic in Michaels, which they've clearanced out, so they've gotten rid of, where it's really awful and rough. This just feels like regular yarn. So I don't know why they got rid of this. This was really nice yarn that they had. Oh, $6.99, no wonder. It was only $1.74 when I got it, but it was really nice yarn, so it just felt like regular acrylic. So I just made two scarves, and so we'd already given them those, so I just have to add in the little footage of that. And then the only other thing I think, it's a ridiculous thing. It's a whole story, but my mom and I like to go to Goodwill, and my mom saw these dolls in the toy section. It's more of an involved story now that there's a couple other dolls, but she saw these dolls in Goodwill, and they're like those kind of ugly dolls. But the more my mom would look at them, because we would go back in there, and they would still be in there because nobody wanted them, and it almost became like this fun thing where we would go in there, and then we would like see if they were still there, and then we would like make up little voices and like, you know, what they must be thinking, or it's just like the ridiculous. We're all creative people, and so like we see something in Goodwill, and it's like, you know, this ugly little doll, and so we sort of add personalities to them and stuff, and think like, oh, I bet they're thinking, you know, please take me home, or like that kind of stuff. And so we would go in there, and they would still be there, and eventually my mom bought them because we were just like making all kinds of jokes with them, and we just thought it would be cute to take them home. They're the kind of dolls that are so ugly that they're almost cute, and I mean, it's ridiculous. And oh, okay. It was it got caught on her dress. Sorry. No, I don't know. But maybe she loves it so much it just became attached to her dress. Like, you see what I'm saying? It's like we something a little like that. This little scarf that I made for the dolls, it got attached to her dress, and I create some kind of story about why it was attached to her. It probably became attached to her because she just loves it so much. She didn't want to let it go. But anyway, so these are the dolls, the first two. two that we started off with. And see how ugly they are. I mean, they're not ugly. I don't mean to make her cry any more than she already is, but you know what I'm saying. So they're like these the ugly kind of dolls, and but they're so ugly they're cute. And so it became like this funny running joke with my mom and I, and so we eventually took them home. We gave them home because they were so sad. But the first time we went into Goodwill, they were separated. And they had like separate prices on them. And then one of the next times we went in there, they had been attached together, and were like being sold as one. I guess the store just wanted to get rid of them or something. But we thought it was funny that they were like all of a sudden attached, and so we were just like making little jokes like you know, that maybe they attached themselves to each other because, you know, they didn't want to be separated or what, like that kind of thing. And so it's just how like. We're all, I mean, I don't mean to, you know, say anything about my mom, but like she's obviously is ridiculous. I'm just rubbing off on her. You know, my ridiculous personality and creativity and stuff is just like rubbing off on her, I think. But like it was just like this funny thing where we were like making all these jokes about the dolls or whatever, and like, you know, whenever we'd say like, oh, how ugly the dolls are, and then I'd like pick up the little girl and I'd say in Goodwill, I'd say. Please don't say I'm ugly, and you really think I'm ugly? Because she has like this little pout and these little tears on her face. I don't know if you can see those little tears, but whatever. And then of course, you know, he has this, you know, big goofy grin on his face because, you know, he's too stupid to know that he's ugly. He thinks he's cute or whatever. And so it just became like this running joke or whatever. And it's like don't cry, we're cute or like whatever. And so it was just funny. And like their hair just, it looks like the kind, like you see those pictures of like from the past where the parents would cut their kids' own hair or like, you know, put bowls on their heads and, you know, like trim it. It just looks like that their hair is just like really messed up, and it just looks like one of those homemade haircuts or kind of thing. They're the hideous little adorable ugly dolls, but whatever. And so so we brought them home. We gave them homes, or we gave them a home because they, you know, and they didn't want to be separated, so they're together. And then of course, you know, her tears turned into happy tears because, you know, she finally has a little home, and then he's just like a goofy, you know, little brother or whatever. And but whatever. And so we have these little dolls, and so eventually I made them little scarves and stuff because I thought it'd be kind of funny because we would have like these running jokes with these dolls, and like, you know, sort of leave in funny situations or whatever, like you know, she was like had her arm around him or whatever, or, you know, he was like, you know, doing something goofy with her or like whatever. It was just like this funny thing for a while because we found these like ugly little dolls. Sorry, no, oh, we have these dolls, and so then I made little scarves for them, and so that's what this is. Like I made like scarves for these ugly little dolls because it was starting to get chilly, and we didn't want them to, you know, freeze to death in here. No, so I made them these funny little scarves, and but so that's like the story of these, you know, dolls, and this is sort of a side story to the whole doll thing, but I ended up, we went to a thrift store, and we ended up finding these two little dolls, and they have like, you know, equally like ugly, adorable faces, and like this one's sort of cross-eyed, and then this one it just looks a little just odd, like a funny little expression. Reminds me of my sister had a doll that was like that, like in the middle of a yawn, and she was like this or whatever. And so there's like the funny, ugly little dolls, and so we ended up getting these two. I didn't make any scarves for these yet. I didn't want, they're little baby ones. I didn't want them to, you know, strangle themselves accidentally, or no, I just haven't made them little scarves. Maybe I'll make little booties for these sometime. God, it's so ridiculous. I've made booties for my niece's doll, and a sweater from my teddy bear, and scarves for these, you know, ugly little adorable dolls. And so anyway, but we bought these two to go because, you know, they needed little toys and stuff, and it's like the perfect little size. We thought this one would could be his little doll because you know, this was kind of happy with its, you know, little cross eyes, and so that can be his little doll, and then hers can be this one because she's like, you know, looking at her like, why are you crying? Because like a little confused look on the kid's face, and so they just kind of match or whatever, and then see, my life is ridiculously creative, just, you know, constantly creating things, even like little stories to attach to these dolls, and then eventually I found one that is one of the ugly dolls. It wasn't like, I didn't think it was one of these like smaller ones, but I just found like one of these other ones that was had like a big goofy grin on his face, and and because I found out the name of the company, and I forget what it was. Now I forget. But because I don't know what brand these were. They were just like dolls we found in a thrift store. But this one was the same brand as these, and so I found the dolls that matched these. But it turns out they made like smaller ones too, and so and then of course it became like my niece has a relative that was a preemie. She just loves that little kid, and it's like 2 or 3 now or whatever. But it started off as a preemie, and so when she came over here, she thinks these dolls are like, you know, kind of like weird. But I mean, she loves it, like the little funny stories that we've come up with these little dolls. But she still thinks they look weird, and like, you know, she's at that age where it's like, oh God, you know, she's not afraid to like have those expressions and stuff. And so when we said, oh, we found another little doll, but it's like it's sort of smaller comparatively. She kind of made this joke that like, oh, it's like a little preemie, like, you know, the relative that she knows or whatever. And so it's like their little, you know, preemie little brother or something. But so I don't know. So that's the story of these little dolls, and I may make little booties or something for it sometime. I don't know. I don't know what my imagination will come up with eventually, but. Okay, quick at it. When I was talking about the dolls or whatever, and with them having their own little dolls now, their own little toys or whatever, I forgot to mention that my mom and I have this like sort of redneck hick kind of donkey thing, something that like my uncle who was there's a like the sense of humor that I attach to this little thing. It reminds me of the kind of sense of humor that my uncle had. He died years ago, but he was just like a funny, goofy kind of person, and like this would be the kind of thing that he would just love, like the funny thing. He just loved all this kind of like, you know, redneck hick kind of stuff, and, you know, like blue collar comedy tour sort of stuff, and so we had found this years before these dolls, and my mom used to have this running joke with my niece, and which she just would crack up all the time when she was younger. Of course, nowadays it's kind of like an eye roll thing, like, oh God, but it's like this funny little donkey thing. And what my mom would do when my niece was a little kid was she would make fun of a little thing and go like make this sort of funny noise, because it looks like that with his big, you know, obnoxious teeth or whatever. It looks like, you know, it has somebody put, you know, their grandfather's false teeth in its mouth or something. It's like these huge teeth. But anyway, so I thought it kind of matches like the sort of vibe or personality of these dolls or whatever. And so one day when I was making all these jokes and stuff, and it would become like this running thing where my mom and I would kind of like leave them in funny situations, or like, you know, say, you know, some funny things that we thought they would be doing, or like whatever, every day. I thought it'd be funny to like send her a picture to her phone. She actually has a phone. My mom, who's in her 70s, has a cell phone, and I've never had a cell phone my entire life. So that's how much of a Luddite I am. Even my mother has a phone, and I don't even have a phone. But it's like one of those flip phones or whatever. But like, you know, she doesn't have a smartphone. But I've never even had like a flip phone. But whatever. So random side story. But with my scatterbrain, like, you have to throw in some tangents here and there. But so I thought of this funny picture idea, and so I set the dolls like on the couch or whatever, and then I had this like next to them, and I had like, you know, one of the arms around it or whatever. If I can find the picture, I might stick it in here. I can't remember if I might have to have my mom send it to me from her phone. But yeah, I don't know. But I made this like funny picture of them like holding it, and I said something like that I got a new toy, mama, or like what. It was like a funny thing that I said, and so it was like a funny picture that I made with these ridiculous, ugly, adorable, dolls. No, with this little donkey thing that we've had, you know, for years prior to that. And so I have this like donkey thing next to all the dolls or whatever, and so they're all together like a big old family, little redneck family. Anyway, so I just thought I'd edit that in. I don't know. So that I think that's all that I've made that I forgot to mention in my first video. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the ridiculous story about those dolls or whatever. And then anyway, so that's all for this video. So because I think I covered everything, and if not, I guess I'll have to edit it in. Well, I do need to figure out if I recorded. I feel like I record everything. I should have footage of the scarf thing, or I mean the shawl thing that I made for my best friend, that I had to put the picture of in the last video I did. It was the one that was behind me in the that picture of my that I took months ago, where I was in in front of like some crocheted stuff, and then that shawl thing that was like came down to a point. I used that Red Heart Super Saver favorite stripe, and I can't find footage of that. I know I must have filmed it, but it's just like a regular kind of like shawl thing, like this big triangle. And then the scarf that I made out of the rest of that Red Heart Super Saver favorite stripe for her daughter that I just made it like really quickly to put in the package so that her daughter had something. And I don't know if I recorded it or not. If not, I guess I'll just like put the pictures back in or whatever, the same ones that I used in the other video. But if I eventually came across a video, I'll put it in here too, because I couldn't find it when I edited that big video together the last time. It was over 2 hours long. So anyway, I guess that's all for this video. So thank you for watching, and like and subscribe, comment down below or whatever, and tell me what you think about these ridiculous dolls. Don't insult them, because you know I've insulted them enough to their faces or whatever. But at least they're, you know, he looks too goofy and dumb to even know. He probably thinks, oh, you're just kidding. I don't know. They just have their own little personalities or whatever. But anyway, so thank you for watching, and like and subscribe, comment down below, do all that stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.